Hi everyone, welcome back to Notes of a Pianist. My name is Aria, and if you watch my videos frequently, you know that I talk a lot about playing with emotion and playing with proper phrasing and dynamics. So today I'm going to be going over how to make your music sound less robotic and how to play with feeling and emotion. There is a humongous difference to playing and performing. Playing is just getting your rhythm and your timing and your notes right. But performing is dynamics, it's phrasing, it's feeling, it's emotion. So I'm just going to be going over how to make your music sound less like this to like this. Thank you so much for watching, and let's get into it. The first thing that I want to talk about is pedaling. Pedaling is often overlooked, I think, by beginners especially. This is what Gymnopedie No.1 sounds like without pedaling. With pedaling. And there's a huge difference, but like everything, pedaling can be done wrong. So I'm going to show you what pedaling is and how to do it correctly and what to avoid when pedaling. So let's talk about what pedaling is. You have your left pedal, you have your middle pedal, and you have your right pedal. The pedal on the far right is the sustaining pedal. So it's going to sustain your music so that it kind of overlaps and gives that really dreamy, flowy kind of technique and vibe. Your far left pedal on the other side, it kind of softens what you're playing. The center pedal sustains only the keys that are pressed down at the exact moment that the pedal is. This one isn't really used a lot, so if I start to play with the center pedal and I press G, whatever key gets held down at the same time will be the one that's prolonged. And you can just hear like some keys that I press are prolonged and other ones aren't. So the center pedal isn't really commonly used, but the point of the center pedal is to sustain whichever key is pressed down at the exact moment that the pedal is, which is kind of complicated, but it's really whatever is pressed down at the exact moment. So you can hear like sustaining in there, but it only lasts for certain keys and it only lasts for a certain amount of time. But on the other hand, the right pedal prolongs all the keys until you lift it. And the left pedal really just softens it. And makes it just quieter. So you can press the left and the right at the same time to make it both softer and sustaining at the same time. So the pedals are just a beautiful art form that will really enhance your music and bring a lot of depth, feeling, and emotion to it to really convey those feelings to the audience that you're playing to. So how do you do it wrong? I will specifically show you how you can do the right pedal wrong, the sustaining pedal, or the damper pedal, some people call it. And the way that you do that is really by not picking it up. For the damper pedal, if I sit and I start to play like this, and I never pick it up, you can hear that it starts to sound messy. And it will just start overlapping too much and it'll sound really messy and horrible. So how do you fix that? You have to find proper times to pick up the pedal. Some people like to pick it up every time a new measure starts, but that's really interpretive, I think, because it depends on the type of song. Like for Gymnopedie No.1, like I'll barely pick it up because it's such a slow, dreamy song. To pick it up the whole time. So the art of the pedal is beautiful, and once you learn it, it's not so hard. It also depends on musicality. Like, do you have an ear for music? naturally. But you can also learn how to have an ear for music as well. But it's really figuring out, like, with interpretation, like what sounds good and what doesn't sound good, what makes my music sound like it's overlapping and messy, and what makes it sound beautiful. The next thing I'm going to be talking about is dynamics. Dynamics are the ability to get loud and soft. If I'm sitting here and playing Moonlight Sonata, if you know, you know. So basically, Moonlight Sonata is a very soft song, but it's also really intense at the same time. But at this beginning part, I wouldn't sit here and play. Because that's too loud. So really, when you're playing music and you're looking at the sheet music, I read music, so if you're looking at the sheet music and the music says, oh, fortissimo or pianissimo or piano, mezzo forte, just whatever the dynamics say on the sheet music, you can go ahead and play whatever that is. But sometimes it won't explicitly tell you what volume you're supposed to be playing the music at. And that's really where the musical ear and interpretation comes in, because if it does not tell you what volume you're supposed to be playing at, then you have to kind of interpret the song and figure it out for yourself. And that leads me to the next point, which is emotional connection. If you don't have an emotional connection to the music, you're not going to know how to play it. So I'll use the example of Moonlight Sonata. Moonlight Sonata is a very angry, aggressive song. But if you listen to recordings of it, people might mistake it. People who don't know classical music as well and haven't heard it as often might mistake it because of the chords and because of the angry feel that it gives off, might mistake it to be loud. But that's where the interpretation comes in, because it's actually soft. So find an emotional connection with the music. What does the piece make you feel? What does it make you think of? For a song like So how does the music feel to you? What do you feel when you hear the music? Connect the song to an event or feeling that you've had, and from there, decide the dynamics that you feel should be played with the song. The next thing that I want to talk about is making mistakes. I think that some people kind of see mistakes as a weakness and see mistakes as like a bad thing. But if you're playing for an audience, it depends on the audience. If you're playing for your family members, if you're playing for friends, if it's more like a casual thing, mistakes sometimes can help you, if that makes sense. It will show that you're human. It'll show that genuine side of your music, because playing perfectly isn't always what's valued. But then again, always have discernment to realize, like, where am I playing? What am I doing? Like, how many people are watching me? Who's watching me? Do I know who's watching me, or is it strangers who are watching me? And some people like the humanity of music, but other people want you to play it perfectly. However, when you're practicing, I'm a perfectionist. Like, I genuinely believe that because I'm a perfectionist, that's why I can play well. But it really, when you're playing and practicing on your own time, think to yourself, am I really benefiting this learning process by expecting to be perfect every single moment that I'm playing? Because you'll never be perfect every single moment that you're playing. Practice is about progress. Practice isn't about always being perfect all the time. And I feel like on the internet, not only in the music industry and not only for piano videos, perfection is so focused on every aspect of the internet. Everything people want to be perfect. But on my channel, I really try to humanize myself, because you're never going to be perfect. And on the internet, you have the opportunity and you have that ability to show yourself as perfect. But I try my best as a YouTuber and as a pianist to not just show my perfect side, because I make mistakes as a pianist too. That's the only way you get better, is by making mistakes. So make sure to realize that mistakes, they may be faults in your music, but they're eventually going to be what takes you to being perfect. They're the building blocks and they're the stepping stones to becoming a better pianist. I really hope that this video helped you today and helped you to understand how to play with more emotion. And just for reference, I'm just going to give you the before and after of with phrasing and without, just for a little description about what phrasing is. Phrasing is the whole thing together. It's to create a performance. And for example, this is the robotic version. I'll see you guys in the next one. Follow for more videos like this. Bye!